The 1960s promised a future of progress rockets and reason. Instead, cinema looked forward and saw extinction, invasion, and the slow collapse of humanity itself. These films did not rely on jump scares. They crawled under your skin. Tonight, we revisit 10 science fiction nightmares from the 60s that still terrify because their fears never left us. Number 10. Village of the Damned, 1960. A quiet English village falls asleep for a single afternoon. When it wakes, everything has changed. Village of the Damned is terrifying because nothing explodes and no monsters roar. The horror arrives calmly, wearing the faces of children. Blonde, identical, and emotionally vacant, these children represent the ultimate fear of corrupted innocence. They do not scream or threaten. They simply stare, and people die. What makes the film so disturbing is its cold logic. The children are not evil in a traditional sense. They are efficient. They treat adults as disposable tools, obstacles to be removed. Their glowing eyes and telepathic powers turn everyday spaces into zones of quiet terror. A classroom, a home, a church suddenly feel unsafe because thought itself is no longer private. Beneath the science fiction premise lies a deeper anxiety about the post-war world. The film reflects fears of ideological infiltration and generational replacement. The adults are powerless because the threat looks like something they are meant to protect. The idea that humanity could be replaced not by war but by evolution is what gives the film its lasting chill. Decades later, the image of those children remains iconic because it taps into a universal fear. What if the future does not need us? What if it actively wants us gone? Village of the Damned does not answer those questions. It simply leaves you staring back into those glowing eyes, wondering when the takeover already began. Number 9. Eyes Without a Face, 1960. This film disguises itself as a medical drama but quickly reveals itself as a waking nightmare. Eyes Without a Face follows a brilliant surgeon who kidnaps young women in a desperate attempt to rebuild his daughter's destroyed face. The science fiction element is surgical innovation, but the horror comes from obsession and denial. The imagery is unforgettable. A pale mask hiding an absence where identity should be. Long, silent sequences where scalpels cut skin with clinical detachment. There is no rush to shock. The film lingers, forcing you to confront the fragility of the human body and the cruelty of love pushed too far. What makes the film deeply unsettling is its emotional emptiness. The daughter drifts through life like a ghost, unable to speak or express herself. She is alive, but erased. The doctor is not a madman cackling in shadows. He is calm, rational, and utterly convinced he is right. That certainty is what makes him terrifying. At its core, the film explores the fear of science without ethics, progress without empathy. The idea that the body can be dismantled and rebuilt like machinery strips humanity down to raw material. Even today, the film feels uncomfortably relevant in a world obsessed with perfection and control. Eyes Without a Face does not rely on loud scares. It whispers, it stares, it makes you aware of your own skin and how easily it could be taken away. Number 8. The Day the Earth Caught Fire, 1961. This is not a monster movie. It is an apocalypse that arrives slowly, quietly, and relentlessly. After nuclear experiments alter the planet's orbit, the Earth begins to overheat. Days grow longer, water disappears. Civilization does not collapse instantly. It withers. The horror of the film lies in its realism. There is no heroic solution, no secret weapon. Governments lie, newspapers scramble, and ordinary people continue their routines as the world becomes unlivable. The science fiction concept is simple but devastating because it feels plausible. The film uses heat as its monster. Streets empty under blazing skies. Food shortages spread. Panic grows but never explodes into spectacle. Instead, the tension builds through silence, exhaustion, and despair. Humanity is not attacked. It is ignored by the universe. What makes the film so haunting is its ending, which refuses comfort. Even now, it feels brutally modern. Climate anxiety, nuclear fear, and institutional failure all converge. The film suggests that the end of the world may not come with fireballs, but with missed deadlines and bad decisions. Watching it today feels less like fiction and more like a warning that arrived too early. The terror comes from recognition. The Earth does not hate us. It does not care. And that indifference is terrifying. Number 7. The Damned, 1963. Often overlooked and deeply unsettling, The Damned is one of the bleakest science fiction films of the entire decade. It begins like a gritty youth drama, then slowly mutates into something far colder and more prophetic. Beneath the surface story of rebellious teenagers and seaside violence lies a terrifying idea. The future of humanity has already been rewritten, and it is being hidden underground. The film reveals a secret government facility where children exposed to nuclear radiation are being raised in isolation. These children are not sick in a traditional sense. They are altered. Their bodies emit lethal radiation. They can never touch the outside world. They are educated through recordings and diagrams, taught history, ethics, and science, while never experiencing life itself. Childhood is replaced by preparation. What makes The Damned so disturbing is the emotional tone of these children. They are calm, articulate, and eerily detached. They do not cry or rage. They speak about the end of humanity with quiet certainty. They understand that they are being groomed as replacements, not saviors, replacements. The adults claim this sacrifice is necessary for survival. The children already know it is meaningless. The horror does not come from violence or spectacle. It comes from moral collapse. Authority figures speak in measured voices about extinction as if it were a logistical issue. Compassion is treated as weakness. Secrecy becomes policy. The film suggests that the true danger is not nuclear power, but the willingness to abandon ethics in the name of progress. By the final moments, the film offers no hope. There is no rescue, no uprising, no reversal. Only the knowledge that the future has been shaped by fear and cowardice. The Damned terrifies because it feels painfully realistic. It suggests that when faced with annihilation, humanity may choose control over conscience. And that choice may already have been made. Number 6. The Last Man on Earth. 1964. The Last Man on Earth is not loud or frantic. It is slow, repetitive, and suffocating. That is exactly why it works. This is a science fiction horror film about routine without meaning and survival without purpose. The world has ended not in fire, but in silence. Vincent Price plays a man who may be the last uninfected human alive after a global plague transforms humanity into vampiric creatures. Each day unfolds the same way. He wakes, boards up windows, hunts the infected, burns bodies, and returns home. Survival becomes mechanical. Life turns into a checklist. The monsters are frightening, but predictable. They wander streets calling his name, pounding on doors. The real terror lies inside the house. The silence, the loneliness, the slow erosion of sanity. He watches old home movies, listens to recordings, and talks to himself just to hear a human voice. Memory becomes torture. The film explores a devastating idea. Normality is temporary. As the infected evolve into a new society, the survivor becomes obsolete. He is no longer the future. He is the past. The hunted becomes the monster. The moral center of the story shifts without mercy. Shot in stark black and white, the film feels drained of warmth. Churches offer no salvation. Science offers no cure. Family is reduced to flashback. Every institution has failed. The world continues without humanity. The ending reframes everything. The last man realizes he is no longer human in the eyes of the new world. He is an artifact to be destroyed. The film ends not with hope, but with acceptance. The scariest thing is not death. It is being left behind by evolution itself. Number 5. Seconds. 1966. Seconds is one of the most disturbing science fiction films ever made because it attacks the fantasy of reinvention. It promises escape, then slowly reveals that escape is impossible. Technology can change your face, your body, your name. It cannot change who you are. The story follows a middle-aged man recruited by a mysterious organization that offers him a second life. Through advanced surgery, he becomes younger, stronger, and more desirable. He is given a new identity and encouraged to embrace freedom. What he finds instead is alienation. The film's visual style is deeply unsettling. Distorted lenses warp faces and spaces. Rooms feel unstable. Crowds feel threatening. Even moments of pleasure feel artificial. Nothing feels real. The world looks like it is rejecting him. What makes Seconds terrifying is its corporate indifference. Human lives are products. Identities are assets. Failure is recycled. The organization does not care if the process works emotionally, only that it continues efficiently. The protagonist's new life feels staged, parties are hollow, relationships feel scripted, pleasure becomes performance. He cannot connect because he has erased the very self that could connect. Freedom becomes another form of prison. The final act is devastating. There is no rebellion, no exposure, no escape. The system absorbs failure and moves on. The film ends with the crushing realization that the second chance was never real. It was an illusion designed to feed the machine. Seconds terrifies because it tells the truth. You cannot outrun yourself. You cannot delete regret. And any system that promises rebirth without pain is lying. Number 4. Quatermass and the Pit, 1967. Quatermass and the Pit begins with a simple discovery beneath a London construction site. What appears to be an unexploded bomb is slowly revealed to be something far older and far more terrifying. This is not a story about invasion. It is a story about inheritance. And the idea it presents is chilling. Humanity may not be entirely human. As scientists excavate the object, they uncover evidence of an ancient Martian spacecraft and the remains of its occupants. These beings did not merely visit Earth, they altered it. Through genetic manipulation, they shaped early human evolution, embedding their instincts deep within our minds. Violence, fear, tribalism, and hatred are not learned behaviors. They are triggers waiting to be activated. The horror escalates when the buried ship begins to awaken psychic echoes. Ordinary people experience visions, hallucinations, and uncontrollable rage. Crowds turn hostile. Reason collapses. Civilization peels back to something primal and cruel. The terrifying implication is that modern society is only a thin layer stretched over ancient impulses. Unlike traditional science fiction monsters, the Martians are long dead. Their power persists through memory and biology. There is no enemy to fight, no force to repel. Humanity carries the infection within itself. That realization transforms the film into existential horror. Urban spaces become claustrophobic and threatening. Familiar streets feel cursed. History itself becomes the antagonist. The film suggests that progress cannot erase origins. Technology cannot overwrite instinct. The past is not buried. It waits beneath our feet. Quatermass and the Pit terrifies because it reframes humanity as a failed experiment. The violence that defines history is not an accident. It is a feature, and once awakened, it cannot be reasoned with. Number 3. Planet of the Apes, 1968. Planet of the Apes begins as a survival story and slowly transforms into one of the most devastating existential nightmares in cinema. Astronauts crash on an unknown world where humans are mute, hunted, and enslaved, while intelligent apes rule through rigid hierarchy and dogma. The horror does not come from the apes themselves. It comes from recognition. Their society mirrors our own. Science is censored. Truth is feared. Power is preserved through ignorance. The world feels alien only because the roles have been reversed. Charlton Heston's character fights desperately to assert his humanity, his intelligence, his identity. Watching him fail is unsettling because the system is designed to erase dissent. Knowledge threatens order. Those who question are silenced. As the film unfolds, it becomes clear that this is not another planet. It is Earth. Long after humanity destroyed itself through arrogance and violence, the final image redefines everything that came before. The future is not hopeful. It is judgment. What makes the film terrifying is its moral clarity. Humanity was not conquered. It self-destructed. Intelligence without wisdom led to extinction. Evolution continued without us. Planet of the Apes endures because it asks a brutal question. If we are capable of destroying ourselves once, why would we not do it again? The answer is written in stone, half buried in the sand. Number 2. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Night of the Living Dead did not just scare audiences, it shattered expectations. Shot with raw documentary realism, the film presents a world that collapses with terrifying speed. The dead rise. Society fractures. Trust evaporates. The zombies are relentless, but they are not the true horror. The living are. Fear turns people against each other. Authority figures fail. Cooperation breaks down. Survival becomes a brutal contest driven by ego and panic. The film offers no explanation for the outbreak, no cure, no hope. That absence is deeply unsettling. The universe does not provide answers. Disaster simply happens. What truly shocked audiences then and now is the ending. The protagonist survives the night only to be killed by those meant to restore order. His death is casual, almost bureaucratic. Life has no value. Mistakes are final. The film reflects social anxieties of the era, but it feels timeless. Violence, paranoia, and institutional failure remain frighteningly familiar. The apocalypse does not create cruelty, it reveals it. Night of the Living Dead terrifies because it strips humanity down to instinct. When structures collapse, morality goes with them. The monsters outside are predictable. The people inside are not. Number 1. The Innocence, 1961. The Innocence is terror built entirely from uncertainty. It tells the story of a governess caring for 2 children in a remote estate. She becomes convinced they are chaotic, possessed by malevolent forces. The film never confirms whether she is right. Every frame is charged with dread. Shadows linger. Sounds echo. Faces hold expressions that feel wrong. Children smile too calmly. Nothing overt happens. Everything feels dangerous. The film's power lies in suggestion. The audience is trapped inside the governess's perspective. Her fear becomes contagious. Her certainty becomes oppressive. Protection turns into obsession. The true horror is the possibility that belief itself can cause harm. Authority combined with fear becomes destructive. The governess may be saving the children or destroying them. The line is never drawn. By refusing answers, the film forces the audience to confront their own assumptions. Is evil external or internal? Are monsters real or imagined? Does conviction justify cruelty? The Innocence remains terrifying because it offers no comfort, only doubt. And doubt is far more frightening than any monster. These films did not imagine a bright tomorrow. They warned us. They understood that science without conscience becomes terror, and progress without wisdom leads to extinction. The reason these stories still haunt you is simple. The future they feared never ended. It is still unfolding around us.